So there are four, stages to this framework. And the four are awareness, vision, execution, and contribution.
Wow! Get ready to learn our methodology of asking questions to inspire your kids and yourself to see the world from an entrepreneurial perspective. Booyah!
What's up guys? Thank you for checking out this video. There's gonna be some cool entrepreneurial tips and tricks here. This is part of a Kidpreneurship course for parents I recorded. So if you want to check out the entire course, module 1 is right over here. Or you can check out our regular actual YouTube videos, which shares tips, tricks, roadmaps, strategies to help you build profitable businesses. Lastly, this is a non-for-profit YouTube channel. So 100% of YouTube AdSense revenue will be donated to legal registered charities that support youth entrepreneurship. So the more we share, the more we care. Thank you so much for your support and let's get on with the video. Peace. What's up guys? How's it going? Welcome to module 4.3. I am super excited because this is where I get to share the framework that I help in terms of leveraging questions to support my kids and putting on that entrepreneurship lens to see the world. Pretty cool. But let's do a quick recap though. This entire module is about the powerful questions, the ultimate entrepreneurship tool really. But the problem is that sometimes we ask questions and the kids just don't engage. In fact, people in general, sometimes you ask questions, they don't engage. So this last two modules, the one before this one, is teaching you how to go from short yes/no questions into more meaningful questions. And today is putting on the entrepreneurship lens into their perspective, right? And so this is heavily influenced, this kind of framework is influenced by my buddy John Berghoff, who uses a technique called appreciative inquiry. I've taken much of what I learned from there, and I didn't really take a course on anything, but I will. It's pretty incredible. And then I've taken value inquiry and other different kind of leadership training I've learned, but this is heavily influenced by appreciative inquiry. So there are four, stages to this framework, and the four are awareness, vision, execution, and contribution. And the powerful thing is when you go through this process and understand the way these questions are laid out, you'll see how amazing it is to help your kids see this world from a different perspective and also see themselves as part of the world from a different perspective. So let's start with the first one, which is awareness, right? Awareness is really exactly what it says, questions that help them become not only aware of the environment, but also themselves in relation to the environment. And we'll use something really simple. We used to walk around strip malls and take these trips on Sundays, typically Sundays or sometimes Mondays, and we would find places where there is a empty spot for rent, right? Or somewhere in the city where it's a commercial space for rent. And we play a game where we'd say, what do we think we would build here? Each of us would have an option. And I'm thinking this particular strip mall, not far from our home, and we went through this exercise where we're asking questions about what's in this community, who are the neighbors, what kind of needs do we think this area would like, what would complement. Then it's what would you like to put in here? What are 5 different versions or 3 different businesses you would put into this space? My nephew in particular, he's a basketball guy, and it's really cool to hear his idea was really cool actually. It was putting a training facility for basketball players. It eventually evolved into volleyball players and team sports, but it first started as this basketball training place, and it was really cool for him to go from the awareness and then seeing the next level, which is the vision. He chose to say, you know what I would build? It's gonna be a basketball training facility. So then the vision part is, let's explore this vision. And we ask questions like, what do you see happening? What does it look like? Who are you serving? Who would come in? What's the main problem? How do you see yourself feeling when you're in this business? We're talking full in-depth business questions where it's driving him to see the full picture. Then the next part is, now we love the picture we see. It's exciting. How do we execute? How do we make it happen? And again, when you download my list of questions, you'll see there's a whole bunch of questions that help people take what they fall in love with, this idea, this vision, and then how do we make it happen? Tomorrow, what do you think are 3 things that we need to have to get ourselves closer to being live? Website, signing the lease, looking at the equipment I want to put inside. So he starts to see things and puts it together. Now he's moved on to real estate. He loves real estate, right? And he has a reason why he loves real estate. But to get there, it was the awareness of what is out there, what problems matter to him, and he felt himself really connected to a particular problem. And it was building homes and building spaces for people to deeply connect. Why? Because he felt he lacked that. But we're gonna get that to a bit. Then eventually now, where we're at right now, he has an entire mentorship program. He's building funds. He's about to invest in his first property, maybe about 4 months or so. He's only 17, by the way, right now, right? But his mentors are amazing, 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 which we talk about in a later module 7, I think, or 6, one of those 2 modules. Haven't even decided yet. But what's interesting is the last phase is after execution is contribution. And what's contribution? It is the ever cliche purpose, your why, your story. And the reason it's so important is that when you allow and support your kids and give them the space so they could identify that big reason why they really want to run with this project, it is able, the ability to come up with this concisely and inspiringly, if that's such a word, it's going to mobilize people. It's going to connect with people. We've all heard that people connect through story. And so the contribution part is the part where you ask a bunch of questions and you help and support your child. And hey, if you do for yourself, in terms of knowing why you do what you do and realizing this little business idea you have is just a small part of a bigger reason. You know, the business is not your life. This is just part of your life and your whole story. And contribution allows you and supports you to support your kids in coming up with that definition of contribution, right? And once this is communicated and shared and amplified, what you're gonna notice, what I've experienced, even what the kids are already experiencing. My nephew, it's crazy, but he's attracting amazing people into his life on his own. They're having, just the other day, I'm not kidding you, he says, my friend and I wants to start a little bit book reading club. It's just them two. And I gave them one of my favorite books, The War of Art, right? And so now they're gonna read this together. But what's amazing is he's attracting people through his story. Everyone knows in his group of friends that he wants to build this company around real estate and helping people build amazing spaces. But his story is what's connecting people because his friend, I think his name's Steven, is not building a real estate business, but they connect through a similar story. That's contribution. Now, the last thing I want to share is that no matter where you are in these 4 stages, you could ask questions from 2 different approaches. And this is like not appreciative inquiry. This is another process that I learned as a leader through leadership training back in the day at Queen's University, way back in the day. But what I learned about this process is that you can approach a particular problem or situation solution from the back to the front or from the front to the back. And it all depends on the situation. Let's take shoes, for example. With my daughter, we could talk about shoes from a different perspective and the entrepreneurship lens into this, something called a shoe from a different perspective. And we could start with saying, hey, what's wrong with the shoe that you're wearing now? Or what's wrong with the shoes that's available right now? And she'll identify 3 problems. Now let's take the shoe that you like most of it and where would you modify the shoe? Okay, we'd modify the shoe. All right, what materials would you put in there instead? What color would you like to put in there? It ends up leading to a final product, a final solution that she feels is gonna solve 3 problems that most shoes are not solving from her perspective, right? That's one approach. That's from problem to the solution. Now you can go from the solution back to the problem. And again, this entire process is to teach a way of thinking. So let's take a shoe. In fact, the shoe I'm wearing right now, I'm not gonna take it off, but the shoe I'm wearing right now is a great volleyball shoe. And so we could take the shoe and imagine this is her shoe. In fact, she loves these Nike shoes that we got for her that is amazing for her We got her this Nike shoe that's amazing for her volleyball. And I asked her, what is amazing about the shoe? And she mentioned 2 or 3 things. And I said, these are great features. I love that you recognize this. Now, what do you think was the problem that inspired the shoe designer to create this, right? Then she'll say, well, I mean, this is great because the previous version or this shoe, they don't consider dust, they don't consider this, they don't consider that, right? They don't consider that we need ankle support, we need lateral support, right? These are things that she recognizes that are problems, and we start from the shoe, the perfect shoe, and she tells me why it's perfect, and then we go back to the initial sets of problems the shoe was designed to solve, right? So again, we went with the final product, we went back to the problem. And now with at least the 4 older kids, it's really cool for them to look at things and start from either, here's a problem, and through the same sets of questions that we've been using and leveraging with each other, she's able to get to this final product. But my nephew, he's the opposite. He's like, this is kind of like the building and the design I can see happening. I love it. And then he works backwards. Why is this happening? Why did someone design the product in a particular way? He worked backwards, right? So these are, again, the same sets of questions. When you look at these questions I provide, you can leverage these questions either direction and test both and teach both actually, because it's gonna be mind blasting. All right, we'll see you in the next module 5. It's where we get to take everything we've learned and now we get to share how money is actually made, how to build a business so that it's profitable. All right, much love guys. We'll see ya in outer space. Peace.